Imagine a world where the skies are ruled by giants, not birds, not bats, but flying reptiles. Massive, majestic creatures soaring effortlessly through the ancient winds, dominating the heavens. Among them, one creature stands out for its size and grandeur, the pteranodon, a flying reptile so immense that it seems to touch the clouds, with wings that stretched up to 16 feet, more than 5 meters wide, rivaling a small airplane. But this was no typical predator of the skies. The pteranodon didn't hunt with claws or fangs. Instead, like modern seabirds, it led a surprisingly peaceful life, gliding through the air with unmatched grace, searching for fish beneath the surface of the water. Its wings, vast and powerful, carried it through the air like a glider, its flight so effortless that it was more like drifting than flapping. No need for constant wing beats. The pteranodon used the currents of air to remain aloft for miles, searching for prey in the warm, shallow seas of the Cretaceous. But despite its size and dominance of the skies, this tranquil giant wasn't without its dangers. The world it inhabited was far from safe. The Cretaceous wasn't a land where strength and size guaranteed survival. Beneath the majestic pteranodon, the ancient oceans were full of deadly predators. Mosasaurus, giant prehistoric sharks, and countless other marine beasts patrolled the waters, hunting anything that ventured too close. Even the great pteranodon had to stay vigilant. Imagine this. The pteranodon, wings spread wide, glides over the ocean below. Suddenly, the water stirs violently. From the depths, a monstrous predator leaps toward the surface, teeth flashing. The pteranodon, despite its size, isn't invincible. Its reign over the skies is constantly threatened by the terrifying creatures lurking beneath. But how did such a remarkable flying reptile end up in the heart of North America? How did a fish-eating flyer so well adapted to coastal life find itself far from any known coastline? The answer lies in a world vastly different from the one we know today. The geography of ancient Earth was unrecognizable compared to the landscapes we are familiar with now. And the history of this creature began long before the year 1871, when a paleontologist named Othniel Charles Marsh made his groundbreaking discovery. Marsh unearthed a fossil, a fragment that would forever change the scientific understanding of prehistoric flying reptiles. In Kansas, where Marsh made his discovery, the world was very different. It wasn't the flat, dry plains we see today. Instead, the land was bathed by warm, shallow seas, ideal for creatures like the pteranodon. Marsh's find was a puzzle, and over the years, it would lead scientists to uncover not just the story of the pteranodon, but the entire ancient ecosystem it inhabited. This wasn't just the beginning of understanding a flying reptile. It was the start of understanding an entire era, full of mysteries and secrets waiting to be uncovered. The world of the Cretaceous was not the same as the Earth we know today. North America wasn't a single landmass. It was divided by vast seas that stretched across the continent. The western interior seaway cut through North America, splitting the continent into two distinct landmasses. This wasn't just a shallow body of water. It was a massive, warm inland sea, teeming with life and providing an ideal environment for marine creatures, including flying reptiles like the pteranodon. This ocean was not just a backdrop for the story of the pteranodon, it was the stage upon which it thrived. The Cretaceous seas were filled with abundant fish, offering the pteranodon a steady food source. But the land was a vastly different place. Instead of the prairies and mountains we see today, ancient North America was shaped by water. The western interior seaway spanned from the Arctic Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico, creating an environment that encouraged the development of giant reptiles, both in the air and in the water. When Marsh first discovered the fossil of the pteranodon, it seemed strange. Why would a fish-eating flyer be found in the heart of a landlocked continent? It didn't make sense at first, but to understand this mystery, we need to understand the world of the Cretaceous as a whole. The oceans weren't like the ones we know today. They were warmer, more expansive, and the land masses were much smaller. This was a time when North America was divided by an inland sea, providing the perfect conditions for flying reptiles to thrive. In the 1800s, the understanding of prehistoric life was still in its infancy, and when Marsh discovered the fossil, he had no idea what it would lead to. The pteranodon wasn't just a flying dinosaur, it was part of a larger, more complex ecosystem that scientists were only beginning to unravel. It wasn't just another pterosaur, it was a unique and specialized creature, adapted to a very specific time and place in Earth's history. At first, scientists assumed that Marsh had found a new version of a previously known European pterosaur, the pterodactyl. After all, the pterodactyl had been the first pterosaur to be studied and named, so it made sense to assume that any new discovery in North America would be a variation of this well-known creature. But as more fossils were uncovered, it became clear that the Pteranodon was different, a new species entirely. This marked the beginning of a long process of discovery and debate. As scientists began to piece together the fossils of the Pteranodon, they realized that this creature was part of a larger group of flying reptiles known as Pterodactyloidea. The Pteranodon wasn't just a larger version of a pterodactyl. It was an entirely new and unique species that had evolved to live in the skies above the Cretaceous seas. The more fossils were discovered, the more scientists were able to uncover the mystery of this incredible creature. The Pteranodon wasn't just an accidental find. It was a key to unlocking the past and understanding the dynamic ecosystems of the ancient world. With every new discovery, the puzzle of the Cretaceous came closer to completion, revealing a world full of mystery, danger, and incredible creatures. The Pteranodon wasn't just another flying reptile. It was a masterpiece of evolutionary design, perfectly adapted to soar the skies of the Cretaceous. Imagine standing beneath its immense wingspan, stretching 16 feet or more, far larger than any bird of today. The sheer size of this flying reptile was staggering. If you had looked up in the sky, you'd have seen a creature that, with the grace of an albatross but the power of a glider, soared silently above the oceans. Its wings weren't like those of modern birds, they were far more specialized. Instead of the broad, flapping wings that characterize today's birds, the Pteranodon had elongated wings that resembled the gliding surfaces of a modern glider. These wings allowed it to glide effortlessly for long distances, catching thermals and air currents that lifted it high above the ancient seas. Its aerodynamic design was flawless. This creature didn't need to flap its wings constantly. It used air currents, mastering the art of soaring. But what made the Pteranodon so remarkable wasn't just its wingspan. Its body was perfectly adapted for a life spent in the air. Unlike modern birds, whose wings evolved from modified forelimbs, the Pteranodon's wings were different. The wings of the Pteranodon were formed by a membrane, stretching from the fourth finger of its elongated hand all the way down to its hind limbs. This unique wing structure was much closer to that of a bat than a bird. This design allowed it to achieve a greater efficiency in flight. Its wingspans weren't just for show. They were engineered to maximize lift and minimize energy expenditure, allowing it to travel for hours across vast distances. The Pteranodon's bones were hollow and light, similar to those of modern birds, giving it the necessary strength without weighing it down. It wasn't burdened by the heavy bones of terrestrial dinosaurs. Instead, it had a light, yet robust skeletal structure that allowed it to maintain its size and wingspan without compromising flight ability. As for its beak, the Pteranodon's bill was smooth and sharp, perfect for capturing fish. Unlike the sharp, tooth-filled jaws of other pterosaurs, the Pteranodon's beak had no teeth at all, an adaptation that made it much more aerodynamic. This trait is significant because, unlike many predators of the time, the Pteranodon didn't need to fight other creatures for its food. Instead, it used its agility in the air to find and snatch fish with surgical precision, often diving straight down to the water's surface. Its beak structure, along with the lack of teeth, shows how its diet and lifestyle were deeply integrated into its anatomy. It wasn't a carnivorous predator like the typical dinosaurs. It was a flying fish hunter, and its anatomy had evolved to serve this purpose. The most intriguing aspect of the Pteranodon's anatomy, however, lies in its sexual dimorphism, the physical differences between males and females. Male Pteranodons were distinguished by their long, blade-like crests on their heads, a trait that was likely used in mate attraction, much like the extravagant tail feathers of a modern-day peacock. These crests were distinctly longer and sharper in males, while females exhibited shorter, more rounded crests. This feature shows just how specialized the Pteranodon's design was, not just for survival, but also for reproduction. The crests might have played a role in display behavior, helping males attract mates. In the vast skies of the Cretaceous, the Pteranodon wasn't just a survivor. It was a master of its environment, soaring on wings that were built to last and designed to glide effortlessly across ancient seas and skies. Its anatomy wasn't just built for flight, it was built to be the ultimate aerial predator of its time. Despite the grandeur of its flight and the vastness of its wings, the pteranodon's life wasn't without peril. In the ancient seas of the Cretaceous, no creature, regardless of its size, was truly safe. While the pteranodon ruled the skies, its reign was constantly threatened by the monsters of the deep. The waters below were not the peaceful, fish-filled expanses that the pteranodon relied on for food. Instead, the oceans were teeming with predators that dwarfed the pteranodon in size and power. Mosasaurus, the colossal marine reptile, swam beneath the waves, its enormous body capable of striking fast and hard, while prehistoric sharks patrolled the depths. These predators were built for speed and destruction. The pteranodon's great size did little to protect it against the larger, more aggressive creatures lurking in the waters below. In fact, the evidence suggests that even the mighty pteranodon didn't always emerge unscathed from its encounters with the ocean's predators. Fossils have been found showing pteranodons with shark teeth embedded in their bones, a stark reminder that even creatures designed for flight could become prey. These attacks weren't just theoretical, they were real, brutal encounters where the pteranodon had to outmaneuver its predators or suffer the consequences. A shark's bite, powerful enough to puncture bone, showed just how high the stakes were in the Cretaceous oceans. But the danger wasn't confined to the water alone. Even the skies, which the pteranodon ruled, were filled with fierce competition and the risk of being attacked. Other pterosaurs might have been smaller, but they were still capable of taking on an isolated pteranodon, especially if the opportunity arose when the pteranodon was young or injured. In the harsh world of the Cretaceous, size and strength alone didn't guarantee survival. The pteranodon's flight ability was its greatest asset. By mastering the air, it could evade many of the threats that lurked below. Its powerful wings allowed it to glide over the ocean's surface, keeping an eye on potential predators while staying out of reach. However, the pteranodon wasn't invincible. Its vulnerability lay in its need to feed. To hunt, it had to dive into the water, risking exposure to the predatory marine reptiles that lurked beneath the surface. Some scientists believe the pteranodon may have used a diving technique, similar to modern-day pelicans, to scoop fish from the water while flying over it. Yet the question remains, how did it get back into the sky without being dragged down into the depths by a lurking predator? Despite these dangers, the pteranodon's adaptability and flight skills were key to its survival. Its ability to glide long distances without flapping and its expertise in catching fish helped it thrive. But every day, this giant of the skies had to face the constant threat of becoming another victim in the harsh, unforgiving world of the Cretaceous oceans. The story of the pteranodon isn't just a tale of flight, it's a story of survival. In a world full of threats from above and below, this majestic creature had to rely not only on its strength, but also on its intelligence and precision to live another day. The pteranodon's fight for survival was constant, and every moment in the sky was a delicate dance between predator and prey. The pteranodon, despite its massive size and magnificent flight, was not an immortal creature. Yet its legacy endures in the world of paleontology, standing as a testament to the power of adaptation and the profound connection between evolution and the environment. It wasn't just another flying reptile. It was a symbol of precision, a flying giant, uniquely crafted to navigate the ancient seas and skies of the Cretaceous. One of the most remarkable aspects of the pteranodon's legacy is its remarkable anatomical adaptations. Its wings, designed not just for flight, but for soaring, were a perfect example of evolutionary ingenuity. Unlike the heavy flapping wings of modern birds, the pteranodon's wings were fine-tuned for efficiency. This adaptation allowed it to glide across the ocean's surface for miles without exhausting itself. In an era where flight was both an advantage and a peril, the pteranodon's ability to remain airborne for long stretches set it apart. Its beak, sleek and toothless, not only distinguished it from other pterosaurs, but was designed specifically for a life spent hunting fish. This unique feature marked the pteranodon as a specialized predator, relying on its agility and aerodynamic body to capture prey rather than brute force. The absence of teeth wasn't a disadvantage. It was an evolutionary choice that made this creature lighter and more efficient. In a world dominated by towering land dinosaurs, the pteranodon's flight style made it a unique player in the food chain. Another striking element of its legacy lies in the sexual dimorphism observed in pteranodons. The male, with its long, blade-like cranial crest, was not just built for survival, but for attraction. These crests were likely used to attract mates, much like the tail feathers of a peacock today. The female pteranodon, in contrast, had a shorter, rounder crest, suggesting that sexual selection played a significant role in their reproduction. This detail further highlights the complexity of the pteranodon's behavior and the importance of its physical traits in ensuring the survival of the species. The pteranodon's widespread fossil record also contributes to its lasting legacy. Thousands of pteranodon fossils have been uncovered, more than any other flying reptile. This abundant material has allowed scientists to reconstruct the pteranodon's anatomy with incredible detail, from its wing structure to its skeletal frame. It remains one of the most well-studied and recognized pterosaurs in history. The extensive fossil record is a testament to its dominance, and through these remains we continue to learn more about its life, behaviors, and evolutionary significance. Even though the pteranodon has long since disappeared from Earth, its influence lingers. It wasn't just a creature of flight, it was a master of adaptation. Its success, not through strength or size, but through efficiency, precision, and grace, made it one of the most iconic creatures of the Cretaceous. The pteranodon's legacy lives on, not only in the fossils we discover, but in the lessons it teaches us about the power of evolution. The story of the pteranodon does not end with its eventual extinction. While the pteranodon no longer glides through the skies of the Cretaceous, its legacy lives on in the endless mystery surrounding its life, its behavior, and its eventual disappearance. Despite the vast amount of fossil evidence, there are still many questions about this majestic creature that remain unanswered. We know that the pteranodon was one of the largest flying reptiles to ever exist, yet the details of its life cycle, its mating habits, and its long-term survival strategies are still matters of debate among paleontologists. How did it live? How did it thrive in a world where predators were constantly lurking below? These are questions that continue to puzzle scientists, and yet every new fossil brings us closer to answering them. Every discovery adds new layers to the complex puzzle of the pteranodon's life. One of the most intriguing aspects of its mysterious lifestyle is the way the pteranodon hunted. We know that it likely fed on fish, but the specifics of how it caught them remain unclear. Did it dive directly into the water, like modern seabirds, or did it skim the surface, scooping up fish while in flight? Perhaps it used a combination of both methods, diving when necessary, and skimming the surface when the opportunity arose. The lack of claws made it unlikely that it could catch fish with its feet, so its beak was likely its primary tool for catching prey. But how did it dive and then return to the skies with no significant grasping abilities? Was it simply too large and too light to catch anything but the most agile fish? These unanswered questions continue to fuel the fascination surrounding this incredible creature. Another ongoing mystery surrounds the pteranodon's extinction. While the exact reasons for its eventual disappearance remain unclear, many scientists agree that it was likely a combination of changing environmental conditions and the increasing competition from other species. As the Cretaceous period drew to a close, climate shifts and the rise of new predators may have played a role in the decline of the pteranodon. The end of the Cretaceous, marked by the mass extinction event, took out countless species. Did the pteranodon fall victim to these global changes, or did it simply evolve into a different form of flying reptile? Despite the mysteries that remain, the pteranodon's story is not one of failure or obscurity. Instead, it is a story of adaptation, survival, and mystery, one that still captures our imagination. Its legacy endures not just in the fossil record, but in the very air we breathe. The pteranodon continues to teach us about the beauty and intricacy of nature's design, about the fragility of life, and the constant need to adapt to the ever-changing world around us. The more we uncover about this magnificent flying reptile, the more we realize that the story of the pteranodon is far from over. It continues to inspire and intrigue, a creature forever intertwined with the ancient skies it once ruled. Perhaps the greatest mystery of the pteranodon's life is not simply how it lived, but why it continues to captivate us, centuries after it last soared above the seas. In the end, the pteranodon's true legacy lies not in its extinction, but in the story it tells about the endless possibilities of evolution, flight, and survival. And as we continue to explore the secrets of this ancient world, we are reminded that there is still so much more to discover, to learn, and to understand. The Pteranodon story may be ancient, but it is far from finished.